Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. I am Debbie G, and I am behind the scenes because I've been up all night driving. Claudia is here, and she's going to be doing the moon astrology, and what's coming for the new year. It was not coming out, Claudia. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am so excited to hear today's report because it's all about the new year. For all of you joining, please go ahead and share this out. And I'm going to drop back behind the scenes and let you have this right back. See you later.
All righty. Good morning, everybody. Happy Moon Day. Yeah, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Mine was very quiet but lovely. And I've got good news this week, and I want to share that with you. We're going to jump into where the moon is this week and what that means. Then I'm going to go into some of the goodies that are happening this week because the lunar landscape, the feeling, the mood in 2022 is going to be so different. And this is actually good news. So I know you're going to be glad to hear that. So as we begin the week, the moon is in the wonderful sign of Libra. So we begin looking at our relationships. Many of you are at home with family. And so it's a wonderful support for those win-win solutions, teamwork, and relationship in general, our relationship to everyone and everything, because we are truly in relationship to everyone and everything. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus continues in retrograde motion until January 29th, focusing on finances and relationships and our values, time of reevaluation and recommitment for some in relationships, although we have Pluto dancing with Venus. And so that lets us know that we may have to work a little harder to re-engage, to recommit. We get to look at issues of trust. I mentioned that before, especially if you have a Capricorn energy in your chart. So that gave a serious tone. The 13th of December was the first time that conjunction happened between Venus and Pluto. And again, on Christmas Day. So this really intensified things. Venus retrograde, love, romance, looking at your finances and how you're going to receive and magnetize those in the coming year. That's the side, the good side of Venus retrograde. But Pluto dancing with Venus adds a somber tone, takes us deeper, and gives us an opportunity to look at what's underlying, perhaps issues of trust, perhaps our inability to commit. So that's continuing. And we are in the last quarter phase of the moon as this week begins, because we're building to a full moon coming up on the 2nd of January. And in the last quarter, this is the time when you take stock. Now, this cycle kicked off with the final solar eclipse in the Sagittarius, and it was the Sagittarius-Gemini nodal axis that we've been dealing with for the last 18 months. That's one of the big changes coming in 2022, the nodal axis. But as we move forward into the last quarter, this is a time when you take stock. What's happened during this cycle? What's happened during this whole year for you? This has been a year that's had a lot of instability and chaos with it, where we've really felt limitations. And so as we move forward into the last quarter, you have an opportunity to look at the shift in consciousness that's going to be required for you to live the life you dream of and not get bogged down. I've told you time and time again that one of the big messages of this nodal axis was to not allow yourself to be programmed from the outside or listen to programming. The systems are breaking down. This is not a Band-Aid. No, this is the whole Megillah. The systems are breaking down. And in the past 18 months, we've gotten to look at the beliefs that put those systems into place and where they no longer serve us, either collectively or in our personal lives. So we continue to look at that until next week, actually 2 weeks into January, when the nodal axis will shift. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So use this time to take stock and to look at where your consciousness might need an upgrade. I love that Pointer Sisters song, Get a New Attitude, because the last quarter is always your opportunity to get a new attitude. And interestingly enough, it's one of those phases that I find just kind of carries me along. It's like even, it isn't like I have to dig or delve for it. I see where my attitude needs to shift, and it sort of carries me into the flow of accomplishing that. So watch for that, affirm that for yourself. And then tomorrow at 1:17 p.m., the moon moves into more intense territory. The moon moves into Scorpio, and we'll be looking at taking those relationships to a deeper level and looking at where there might be secrets buried within us, old hurts that we need to forgive and let go of so we can reclaim that energy for transformation. So, so that's going to be happening tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, the moon continues in Scorpio, but we've got some really big news that I'm going to go into. And this is a sign that things are looking up. Jupiter, the biggest planet out there, considered the lucky planet, moves into Pisces. This year is going to be speedy. It's going to be a much speedier year than last year, even though we will have every planet that can move in retrograde motion. As we start the retrograde parade in late spring, early summer, that's going to go on still. So we get to revise and review and all of those wonderful retrograde words. But right now, every planet except for Uranus is moving in forward motion. So this is really good for this new moon that initiates a whole new year that's coming up. And Jupiter's going to move really fast. It's going to move through Pisces till the 10th of May, and then it moves into Aries until October, and then back into Pisces. So I'm going to be talking more about that in just a few minutes because this is big, really good news. And I want you to remember that. So on Wednesday, as I said, the moon continues in Scorpio. On Thursday, we enter the balsamic phase of the moon. And so this reminds you to just take a breath. New Year's Eve is coming. Turning of a year. We really had the turning of the year already at the solstice. But the balsamic phase of the moon always reminds you to regenerate, to compost. And if you're out there, let me hear from you. I want to know where you're hailing from. And I'd love to see in the chat, let me know you're here, please. I love to know that I'm not just talking to myself because this is all for you. I love you so much. And as we move into the balsamic phase, this is a big one because we're really looking back at the whole year. This balsamic phase has a more of a balsamic tone. What are you going to take forward? What are you leaving behind, particularly in the area of beliefs? What beliefs are you leaving behind? And what are the new beliefs that you're supplanting your life and your dreams with? This is a really good time to ask yourself that. Do some journaling. Get in touch with yourself and with, what you did accomplish. I know I was looking at back in my journal and, thinking about goals. We've got a lot of energy in Capricorn right now. Mercury, Venus, Pluto, all in Capricorn. So we're looking back at the goals that we set at around this time last year. And as I looked, I realized that my number one goal was to sustain my health, to sustain a healthy balance, because I went through 11 years of nuclear radiation poisoning, and I came out of the tunnel at the end of last year. And so when I looked at my other goals, my business goals, et cetera, which really were in a foundational stage as I came back into vitality and vibrant health, I realized that's a big, big goal that I accomplished. Big goal. So look at what the priorities really were this past year. And if you have remained sane and safe, and you've navigated whatever health challenges you have, and you're here today with me, then congratulate yourself. Kudos. Give yourself a high five. It's a good thing to do anytime you pass the mirror anyway. Give yourself a high five. Tell yourself you're fabulous. You're one of a kind. Yeah. I know yesterday I was listening to, hi there from Central New York. Love it. Welcome, Susan. Mary in Tucson. Love Tucson. Yeah. And Virginia, much love to you. Yes. Oh, after Boxing Day. I love it. Yes, Merry Day. After Boxing Day. Yes, that's another name for Christmas Day, and you can look that up too. Boxing Day, the history of that's very interesting. So thank you for mentioning that. And so as we move through the balsamic phase, regenerate. That's the big word for the balsamic phase. It's like you're regenerating for the next cycle, for the next initiation of energy that ignites a new cycle with new promises of intentions and manifestation. But also regenerate for a new year. Hopefully, you've been doing that this whole time. Once the sun moved into Capricorn, we became a bit more sober, slowed down a little bit. The Sagittarius sun tells us to go, go, go at a time of year when the light is at its lowest ebb, and light equals energy. So if you've been feeling like you need a little more rest, take it. Give that to yourself, because we're getting ready to have quite a year next year. Definitely a different feeling, different climate, cosmically speaking. And on Earth, of course, we are not separate from the universe. We are the universe. So I mentioned that yesterday. I was watching some clips, and all these different points of view. And I thought to myself, we don't have a point of view. We are a point of view, especially now with social media. With everybody being able, 7.5 billion people have the opportunity now to state their point of view. That's why you have to be very careful what you listen to. Listen to your own inner guidance, as opposed to all the outer flash and Sturm and Drang. So you are a point of view in the mind of Source. Only you can share that point of view with the world and be that point of view. So look at the point of view that you're going to be. Are you a window to positivity, to love, compassion, to manifesting your dreams and goals? Or are you the pessimist, allowing influences in that do not uplift you? I find that this is a time with Saturn. We've had Saturn and Pluto and some heavy stuff, some overarching energies during the holiday season. But with Jupiter moving into Pisces this week, we get a break. The energy shifts mightily. Jupiter's the biggest planet out there. So big, growth, expansive, mighty, all of these things apply. As we move into Friday, Thursday, the moon also moves into Sagittarius, so that will lift us. If Scorpio is a particularly emotionally intense time for you, when the moon moves into Scorpio, it's a water sign, it's fixed, and so it shows us where we are emotionally fixed, where those old hurts continue to replay in our mind, stinging us like the scorpion, when actually what we want to do is rise to the observation of the eagle with the highest vision. And right now, it's like we are all the phoenix rising from the ashes, having our old ideas of life, our beliefs burned away, purifying us and our culture, our society, so that we can rise to a new level and soar. So remember that if you come up with some intense emotions in Scorpio. And as I mentioned, Thursday, the moon moves into Sagittarius, the truth seeker, expansive Sagittarius. You've heard the phrase by Jove. Well, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. And so Sagittarius is more expansive, whereas Scorpio moon takes us deep. It's more vertical. Sagittarius is more expansive. And it's the adventurer, it's the wanderer of the zodiac. So it can be restless energy, but it also takes you back to the time of the new moon and asks you to look at the intentions that you set forth then, because those were set with the turbocharged energy of the solar eclipse. And that solar eclipse set the tone of energy for the next 6 months. And then, as I've mentioned before, solar eclipses then imprint for 19 years. So if you look back to 2002, 2003, wherever Sagittarius, it falls in your chart. And if you want to know that, or if you want to know what the year holds for you, because this is a year that's so different, book a session. Never a more perfect time to book a session. Get both of your feet on the ground as you enter 2022, so to speak. So as we move forward on, and I don't see the link in the crawl But if you go to Moon Powered Astrology on Facebook, you can, you can message me there. You can actually have a free chat with me. We'll book a free chat if you like prior to booking a reading. That's up to you. Um, I love chatting with people and finding out what their dreams and goals are and how I can help. As we move into Friday, the moon remains in Sagittarius. I always feel like that's a feel good time of month. The challenge, especially if you're still with your families, is overindulgence. Also, overextending yourself, especially during the balsamic phase of the moon, overextending your energy. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep your well full. And then on Saturday, the moon moves into Capricorn, preparing for a new moon that's going to be coming up on Sunday at 10:34 a.m. at 12 degrees of Capricorn. This is a new moon of initiation, big time. You are initiating 2022 in grand style with Jupiter moving direct. So this is what's happening on New Year's Day. We've got the sun trine Uranus. And so that's going to help lift us up and out of the 3D vice that we felt with Saturn. Because Saturn's been such a big player, it really has been the overlord of last year, so to speak. And on the 23rd of December, we had Saturn and Uranus exactly square. So that's authority, tradition, old systems, the old way, square, hard aspect, challenging aspect to the Great Awakener. That which says breakdown precedes breakthrough. And Uranus operates by surprise, sometimes shock. It rules earthquakes. So you can see how it's been a big player during this time as the ground has been shifting beneath our feet. We have to learn to walk in a new way. That's what that means. Walk in a new world. And let's see, is there anything else on that day? That's the 1st of January. So that tells us that we're being lifted up and out into an awakened way of being. I want you to remember, as Saturn, first of all, this pairing, Saturn and Uranus, began in the 60s. I know some of you weren't around then, but I was. And so if you were around in the 60s, let me know, because that means that you were a love child and privy to the hippie movement, as they called it. But it was, drop out and tune in. Well, the thing was, at that time, again, the traditional systems, the idea of external authority was united with, which is the strongest manifestation of two energies, is when they come together exactly. And they kicked off what's been going on for the past now 60 plus years around our desire for freedom and what that means, and our willingness or unwillingness to take responsibility for freedom and sovereignty. It's up to us. And this year is going to underscore that it is up to us, nobody else. The illusion that there's a government or any external authority that's going to take care of you is blown. And I know for some people, as the systems decay and some limitations are put into place, as the old guard continues to try to maintain control, it can be a time of grief. So acknowledge your feelings, allow them to flow through and out. Don't hold them inside. Don't do cellular or psychic damage to yourself. Allow them to flow. Cry, especially when that moon's in Scorpio earlier in the week. Have a good cry if you need to. But know that you can never, as Thomas Wolfe said, you can never go home again. The past is always gone. Always, always, always. Every day, every minute, the past is gone. The more you can be present in the present as the presence, the more you're going to walk in a happy life. The more joy is going to come into your system. Joy being the clearest evidence of the presence of spirit. So allow yourself to grieve the past, to grieve what's happening to people around the world. This is what it is taking to wake us up, to wake us up to the fact that it's up to us, that we are the authority in our own life. And what does that mean? How are we going to take responsibility for that? So then on Sunday, we have a new moon, as I mentioned, at 10:34 a.m. And this new moon is going to be square Chiron. I mentioned that a week ago, Chiron moved forward in Aries after having been retrograde for 5 months. So this new moon has healing potential. And, that healing can be, in many areas, but with Aries, it rules the individual, our ability to express ourselves and our individuality and where we've been wounded in our ability to do that, our right to do that. And I know yesterday I was looking at all the countries marching around the world. There are massive protests going on around the world. So don't feel like nothing's happening. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a lot of things coming out in the mainstream media about what's happening. And we are going to see more alternative ways of working with this virus, of working with this pandemic. We're going to see more facts come out. And so, no, the universe is working for us. I mentioned Saturn and Uranus. Saturn rules this new moon. And Saturn ruling this new moon tells us health-wise that our teeth, skin, and skeletal system are all areas of health we need to be looking at during this next month, this next lunar month. What can you do to keep your bones strong? What can you do, that weight-bearing exercises that you can do at home if you're in a snowy, cold area? Actually, it's 39 degrees here today in the desert. So we're having some kind of, it's definitely winter, We've been having some rain, which is lovely. So there's snow capping the mountains. But wherever you are, you must have movement in your life. Moving also helps keep the creative juices flowing. It's really much more easy to get depressed and stuck when you're in your chair, just sitting there, binge watching stuff. Lift yourself up, get out in nature. We're going to have the nodal axis shifting into Taurus and Scorpio. I'll be talking about that next week because that's big stuff. And as that happens, it reminds you the North Node in Taurus is where we are going. It's what's pulling us. And that's nature. It's telling you that the salvo for many things in our mood nature is nature. Getting out in nature, just appreciating the beauty all around you. It's one of the best ways to get present really fast. So you've got the old and the new together with Saturn and Uranus, and that's going to continue throughout this next year. We're going to continue to have that because, but I want you to remember, Saturn is the last of what's called the personal planets. It rules form and structure and the old systems. So we've been looking at the beliefs that produce those systems. And in our own lives, what are the beliefs that have had us locked into a particular way of being or doing? And how would we like to see those change? It's all up to us. And so as that continues, remember, Uranus is a planet that has to do with collective consciousness. As I mentioned, it's the Great Awakener, and it's out there in the universe. It's farther out. And that tells you ultimately that the planet of freedom is going to win out. So know that. Know that the universe literally is pulling for us. It is guiding for us to rise in our consciousness, to not have this external parental idea anymore, but to know that our job is to reparent ourselves and to be that kind, compassionate, effective authority figure in our own lives. What do I got here for you? I want to mention that there are going to be, I mentioned that the nodes are going to be shifting, and that'll be happening mid-January, actually on the 18th of January. So I'll be talking little bits as we go along. But the nodal axis has been in the sign, in beliefs and communication, the law, etc. Hello, Conchetta from Louisiana. I hope you said your name right. And so the nodal axis, which is where the ecliptic of the moon intersects with the sun, the moon, and so they're not planets, but they have to do with our collective karma. And also it's it's the soul lesson, the collective soul lesson that we're going to be asked to move through for the next 18 months, starting on January 18th. So that's going to be in Taurus and Scorpio, very different energy. We've been in fire, Sagittarius, and air, Gemini. And so the media has had huge sway over us in this time of pandemic, telling us how to live, what to do, how to be, or else. However, we're moving into earth and water. So it's going to be a very different year. The complexion, the characteristic of energy that are overarching are going to be very, very different. And we're going to be looking at self-sustenance. So that's really the biggest change coming in 2022 is this nodal shift. And 2004 was the last time that we had this nodal axis in operation. So you could look back at that in your life and see what that meant. And, you can also look at where Taurus from 29 degrees to 1 degree and Scorpio are in your chart. And that'll tell you the area being really affected by this. So, with all the energy, those are two signs that are going to be really affected by the energies and, the things going on in 2022, Taurus and Scorpio. We've all got it somewhere in our charts. It's just that some of you are sun, moon, and rising, sun, moon, or rising in those signs. So you will feel it more keenly. And you also will have the energy more available to use. Excuse me, even though, as I mentioned, this is collective energy. That's why it's so important, because it moves the collective into a new soul awareness, into learning a new lesson. The nodes are always evolved in eclipses, and I just want to mention these dates to you so you can just jot them down. I'll be saying them again and again, don't worry. But we have a solar eclipse on the 30th of April and a lunar eclipse on the 15th of May. And then again, a solar eclipse on the 25th of October and a lunar eclipse on the 8th of November. And these are in that Taurus Scorpio axis. So there'll be times to really, when emotions really come up, when what you're going to do as far as your self-sustenance goes, how you attract what you need, what you really do need and value, these are going to be coming up. And the energies of Scorpio, secrecy, lies, betrayal. We're going to see a lot of this. We're going to see a lot of things exposed regarding governmental control around the world. And also what's really going on. The thing is to not allow it to rule or ruin your daily life. You are a creator. You are the light of the world. Every morning before I get out of bed, I listen to a meditation. It's about 10 minutes long. But what it does is it reminds me, I'm filled with light. And that light moves out. It runs through my veins, through every cell of my body, white and golden light. And then it moves out to embrace the earth, every plant, every person. And then it moves through the oceans, embracing all ocean life. And then it moves out into the universe, embracing this wonderful universe, all these characteristics of energy that are in our DNA. And then the energy comes back, filling me, overwhelming me with light, so that I get out of bed in a positive mood. Because those first few seconds, those first minutes when you wake up are pivotal. Before the monkey mind gets hold of you, do something proactive. And I've mentioned before that your default spirituality is your go-to. And that's really, really going to be true for this year. So I mentioned that, matters of the heart and money. That's what Venus retrograde is calling to our attention. And we are going to see big shifts in the financial system, absolutely. But that's not a bad thing. This is a recalibration, a reinvention of everything. So we're going to see revelation and revolution this next year. But it's a good thing because, as I said, things speed up. So we are really, looking at an alternative society. And this alternative society is already being rebirthed. I want you to know that. Stay in touch with that knowingness. It's happening. It's being rebirthed. And this is a society for everybody, not polarized. 3D is duality. So the more you can drop into your heart and rise into the consciousness that the fourth dimension is the awareness that you create the third, and that this physical vehicle is the most incredible manifestation of the third. And then there's the fifth, and that is in the heart, in love, with yourself and life. Don't let all these other things distract you. The biggest distraction that the authority mechanisms are using now is fear. Do not allow yourself to go into fear. If you do, recognize it and recognize the definition of false expectations appearing real. Shift your expectations to the ones that you want. What do you want to expect? Freedom, liberation, awakening, a planet that works for everybody, a culture that works for everybody. That's another thing we're going to see next year. We're going to see shifts in pop culture. Media, the way the messages get out there. So if you have a message to contribute that can uplift yourself and the planet, this is the time. And that brings me back to Jupiter. I'm going to move through that, and then we'll go into the new moon a little more fully. So I mentioned that Saturn had the upper hand in 2021. Well, Jupiter's starting us off to give us truly an upliftment as we move into 2022. Jupiter's the biggest planet out there. It is said to be the planet where the ascended masters hang out when they're not with us. That's incredible energy to be able to draw on. So Jupiter asks us, hi, Sandra. Jupiter asks us to grow something. And in this case, as Jupiter is moving into Pisces on the 28th, on Tuesday, tomorrow, it's telling you to dream bigger than you ever have. And that's what's required now. To be a dream weaver, to be an Imagineer. As we move towards April, on April 12th, Neptune, the planet of magic and dreams and imagination, is going to conjoin with Jupiter, telling you, underscoring that you are to dream big. This is creative, intuitive energy. And with Jupiter in Pisces, you may feel the collective more strongly. It's very emotionally sensitive energy, and Jupiter expands whatever you focus on. So the high side of Pisces, I've mentioned imagination, dreams, intuition, but there's a low side. And that low side is addiction, escapism, and suffering. So now that you know that, you can circumvent that. Also, if there are habits of addiction that you're privy to, this is a wonderful time to focus away from those, knowing that this planet, that Jupiter's really in speedy motion, and that it's uplifting, and it can expand your consciousness right out of that mode, so that you move into that higher benevolent energy. And Jupiter is benevolent energy. Actually, it's called the great benefic. It's considered to be lucky Jupiter, good fortune. And the more you're connected to your spiritual nature, the more you are listening. Listen and do rather than do and listen. Listen first. Your message center, your internal message center, that connection has the ability to be expanded tremendously. So have fun with this energy. Dream big. Allow yourself to sit and do some daydreaming, and definitely keep track of your night dreams because there's a lot of prescience coming through. Hi, Joan of Angels, visiting here. So glad to see you. And Prince Fleet, wonderful entertainer, actor, etc. Too many things to mention, but I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. So Jupiter is going to expand. By the way, Jupiter in Pisces expands entertainment. So if your dream is to be more entertained, be entertaining, this is your year. Pisces has to do with the movie industry, glamour, illusion. So these are some of the things over which Pisces has aegis, and that Jupiter can expand. If you want to share your message this year, how are you going to do it? Singing, dancing. Pisces rules the feet. So having your feet on the ground is going to be really important, because Pisces can be the dreamer that's out there, not making things real. But with the North Node in Taurus pulling us toward that energy of manifestation, it's giving us that groundedness. It's reminding you to be grounded. Yeah, and this alternative society, by the way, is going to be so much better. I want you to know that. And maybe you have this going on in your own life where you've got little pockets of like-minded people whom you can communicate with. One of the big words for Pisces is also compassion, unconditional love. So let these be bigger in your life. More compassion, big compassion. Listen internally, but also externally. If people are in a different world than you are, so to speak, listen, because if you listen, you'll know. Are they in a frequency of fear? If so, you can send them love and move away. You don't need to absorb that fear. You don't need to buy into it, but you can have compassion for it because people are being bombarded with it, right? So don't let it be divisive for you, if at all possible. Just allow freedom to be. Because if you grant it to others, then it is more likely to be granted to you. So it's going to be a dramatic, unstable year. Yes, it is. This is mutable energy. Pisces is mutable energy. So that instability is going to continue. But we have an overarching vibration of the 6 energy. And 6 has to do with the home. It has to do with unconditional love. So it underscores that theme very nicely. It's nurturing energy. And it's going to help you find your sanctuary. So as it focuses on home and family, it's a really good time to make sure that your home, that you, whatever you've been waiting to beautify with your home, it's a great year to do that. Using your imagination, being creative, creating that sanctuary. Safety, protection, and sanctuary at home. And healing family rifts. This is a great, a great year to heal any family rifts. Again, compassion. Compassion is key. And then that South Node in Scorpio, which is what we're coming from, the karma, demands that we employ forgiveness and surrender to the source that is lit up within us, that animates us, that sustains us in being that point of view in the consciousness of source that each of us is. So I don't know what year you're in, but I'll tell you how to find it if you'd like. Let me know if you'd like me to do that. Let me know in the chat if you'd like to know how to find your personal year. Anybody? Should I just move on? Anybody there? Raise your hand. Let me know. I'm going to do it anyway. So you take your month of birth, your day of birth, and you add a 6 to it, and you'll find your personal year. For instance, my birthday is the 7th of February. Oh, good, good, good. Yes, there are people out there. So I'm going to repeat it again. You take the number of the month you were born, plus the day you were born, and the 6th year, and you'll find your personal year. Now, I want to mention Christine Delore and creative numerology. She really puts numerology in a concise, practical way, and she's so generous. She gives the weekly, the monthly, and the yearly for free on her site, Creative Numerology. So, for instance, my birthday is the 7th of February. So that's a 2 and a 7, and that's a 9, and the 6 is 15. So I'm in a 6 year. I can never escape, even though I'm not crazy about the collective calendar at all. I much prefer the unerring calendar, the true calendar, the lunar calendar. But when you look at that, so this 1977 doesn't matter. The year you're born doesn't matter. It's the month and the day when you're finding your own personal year. So my year always tracks the universal year. So I it's kind of good because I know what to pay attention to. But I also, if I try to bucket it, it's not going to work. So let's see here, Mary. Let me 12 and 24. So that's 36 and 6. That's right. Yep. So you also track the universal years, Mary. So you can't escape them. So this last year was a lot of change, a lot of shift, a lot of instability. Odd numbers are like that. They're all about change. But the 6 year also tells you that you're responsible for making it happen. And that's collectively true for all of us. So we've each got our own personal number. And as I said, when you add it up, and you can go to Creative Numerology, to Christine Delore's site, and find out more about that. And also the year that you're stepping into, you find your whole year there. And then also look at the 6, because it applies to all of us. We've all agreed collectively to be in 2022. So let's see, 625. Yeah, 6 plus 2, 8, 5, 13, and 6. So that's 19. And that you're in a 1 year, a 10-1. So that tells you that you're stepping through this portal of the 0, which means there's baggage to be left behind. So you can make this new beginning. And of course, 36. Let me see. 6 and 3 is 9, 10. 6 is 16. So that's a 7 year, I think. I'm not sure exactly. I gathered that this is someone who's you can't be born on the 31st of June because there aren't 31 days in June. So I'm confused a bit about that. So anyway, so that's a little bit about the numbers this year and what we're moving into. But create that sanctuary. That's going to be your fallback. That's going to be your go-to. Because I'll tell you another little tip about Neptune, which we're moving, as I mentioned, there's going to be a conjunction with Jupiter and Neptune, but Jupiter's going to be moving ever, because it's moving fast, moving ever closer to Neptune. Neptune's the great dissolver. It's going to dissolve our old illusions. So between that and Uranus and other things, that's why I say revelations leading to revolution, revolutionary consciousness. That's what's required now. So as we move into the time of the new moon, this is a new moon of initiation. Again, 10:34 a.m. on Sunday at 12 degrees of Capricorn. And interestingly enough, this is aligned with the Great Attractor. We've been getting these intergalactic messages, haven't we? Yeah. The full moon's aligned with the galactic center, and this aligned with the great attractor. I've got some notes on this. Let me just see. Um, so Mars at the time of this new moon is on the great attractor. So what the great attractor does, it just sucks galaxies in its wake, and it's moving us along. It's intensely powerful, and it's very positive. Again, very positive. So as we step into this new year, it truly is a time to say happy new year. So 2 and 6 is 8. I'm not sure how people are figuring this out, but I hope that that helps. And as I said, go to creative numerology and it will reinforce what I've said about finding your personal year. So you can all do that. That'll be fun. You know, she states things very positively, but she also states what's happening with the time. She's kick-ass. She's not namby-pamby, but she's very practical, easy to understand and utilize. So it's another thing you can add to your lunar landscape for the week, you know, is because she does weekly, also your weekly numbers once you know what they are or what it is. And so with the great attractor, it is really encouraging us, you, to break away from the mainstream, to find your bliss. So the intentions that you set at this time of the new moon, you know, Capricorn is the queen. It's feminine, earth, cardinal energy. Cardinal is action oriented. So she's the queen of goals, of making a map, of looking at the mountaintop that you want to be looking down over 2022 from at the end of this year. So what are your goals? Health, number one, always. And as I mentioned, we're going to see a lot of alternative. We're already seeing it. Now a lot of you are practicing it. What are the alternative ways you can take care of your health? There are many, many, many ways to counteract COVID other than the vaccine. If you prefer the vaccine, that's your right. But if not, there are many alternatives coming out. And they've been out, but now they're much, much more pervasive. Even a pill from the pharmaceutical companies is on its way. So, but keeping your immune system up is really important. And with this emphasis on the Piscean energy this year, that has to do with your lymph movement and your immune system in general. So go to the high side of that. Dream bigger than you've ever dreamed, right? And then allow yourself every day to feel what that feels like. And that's the key to your intentions. So you want to set 3 intentions. You know, if you get too many more than that, it's challenging to do your visualization on a regular basis because facts don't create, feelings create. So what is the structure that you want to build this year? As I said, you need a default spiritual structure. What's your health structure? So health, relationships, business, you know, finances. These are 3 good ones to set. And then you might set a 4th. But what you're going to do is you're also going to look at what you're committing to. Really get in touch with what you're committing to. Your commitment to your consciousness. Not allowing yourself to get pushed off track. Feeling the feelings. It's like walking on a roiling boat in a roiling ocean. You get tipped one way, you might hear something might make you sad, you're over here, you cry a little, you acknowledge it, you let it go, and you come back to center, knowing that you are source, present in the present as the presence. It's a great mantra to just put on your refrigerator. I am present in the presence, in the present as the presence. So use that one. So with health, I mentioned the health aspects. And it's a great time to winterize your skin. You know, what are you doing to make sure that the dryness of winter doesn't get you? Are you drinking enough water? Has your skincare routine been winterized so you know, are hydrating more? Are you going to the dentist? I have to go to the dentist. I chipped a tooth. So, and your bones, what are you doing to strengthen, to keep those strengthened during the winter? You know, if you're taking vitamin D for COVID, be sure to take K2. You know, there are things that you can do supplementally every day to keep your bones strong. Business-wise, Capricorn is the CEO of the zodiac. takes care of business. So as you look at this new moon, how are you going to take care of business this year? You're being told to dream bigger than you ever have. But what's the framework for that? What's the foundation? Step by step. Remember, this is the sign of the mountain goat. It's also the sign of the sea goat. So the sea goat comes out of the flow, the all possibility of water out onto land and builds a structure so it can manifest. And by the way, Jupiter in Pisces is going to magnify your manifesting abilities. So you want to have these goals so that you can stay on track. Not You need to be able to allow flexibility with those goals too, because you're going to be having a year of imagination, a year when you're imagineering, when you're listening, when you're allowing source to guide you, as opposed to trying to control your path or control your environment. To create that sanctuary at home, and then to go into self-mastery. That's when Capricorn energy really shines. Not control over time or the environment, but inner mastery, self-mastery. So that might be one of your intentions too. How are you committing to that? You know, mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical. All of those you want to look at. So as you set your intentions, you write them down. Simple, concise. You might want to do a brain dump so that you can end up with a simple, concise sentence. Because if you throw a huge kitchen sink of stuff at the universe, it'll give you a kitchen sink back. So you want to be concise and succinct. After all, Capricorn loves structure. And it asks you to be disciplined and responsible, which doesn't mean taking care of everybody else. Responsible means able to respond. So you go back to your health. You go back to how you are feeding your mind only good stuff. And so once you've got your intentions set, then you narrow it down to a simple, concise sentence, and you create a picture. Close your eyes, drop into your heart, and create a picture of that intention. And then you step into that intention. You picture it and you step into the picture and you feel with every fiber of your being, every parsec of your existence. Feel what it feels like to have that intention manifest right now. And just hang out with that feeling. Ramp it up. Jupiter's going to help you let that feeling get bigger and bigger and bigger, because Pisces is emotionally sensitive. So it's going to expand that ability to put your feelings underneath these intentions. And then when you feel complete, well, after actually you ramp up the light until it moves through your skin. So your whole auric field is filled with this frequency of feeling of this intention manifested right now. And then if there are any notes, any messages that come through, jot those down. And then you move to the second intention. This is why you don't want to do too many. Then you put 3 action steps under each intention and calendar them. When are you committing to beginning those intentions? To taking that first step up the mountain. And remember, mountain goats climb sheer faces of rock, but they make sure that they're secure with each step before they leap to the next. So that's what you want to do. And then gratitude, because gratitude is the fertile soil in which all intentions flourish and are planted. So, does anybody have any questions? Yes, Capricorn. Well, Mary, I'll bet that Capricorns are amazing as far as manifesting, because they know how to do things step by step and stay on track because they have a plan. And the plan doesn't necessarily come overnight. You know, you set an intention, but your plan is fleshed out over the next 2 to 3 months. And then you'll be learning more from me about how the universe and the moon, of course, are supporting you. So you've learned a lot today. And I'd love to know if this has landed for you, if there's something that you can take away to help elevate your spirit as we move into a truly happy new year. Anybody? This is the time. This is your time to ask a question if you have one. Again, Capricorn, Taurus, Scorpio. It's going to be quite a year for you, as well as Pisces. Oh, Mary, you're so welcome. That blesses me to know that. Thank you. I'm so grateful for all of you. It's easy for me to begin the new year with gratitude because I get to be here on Mondays and I get to hear that you're out there. And that really, really warms my heart. I don't know if the, I don't know. I haven't seen the crawl. I haven't seen the link for readings come up, but, oh, there it is. Okay. So there's your link for readings. So please, copy that or look at it. My Facebook page is Moon Powered Astrology. You're welcome to message me there if you'd like a free chat with me. All readings, by the way, come with a pre-chat so that I can target exactly what's going to be of the most benefit to you as you move into this new year. So I wish you all an extremely happy new year. Remember to be present in the present as the presence and to dream bigger than you've ever dreamed before. I love you to the moon and way beyond. Let me hear from you. Like me, share me, comment. Oh, okay. 6 plus 2 is 8 plus 5 is 13 plus 6 is 19. You are in a 1-year Facebook user. That's how I hope that made sense.